Chelsea Football Club close to signing Koulibaly from Napoli for 40 million on a 3-year deal. It is very, very close to being a complete agreement and the deal being signed. Rudiger out, Koulibaly in. Another stellar signing for Chelsea. And the Serge Gnabry links are real. We're going to delve into that a little bit later. Imagine that. You go from Rafinha, you get told you're rejected, and you could end up with Serge Gnabry at Chelsea. We're also going to take a look at a number of the other transfers swirling around the ether. Of course, the Tielemans situation, Martinez situation, and of course, the player whose name I keep butchering every time I try to say it, Paqueta, I can't say it. What is it? Paqueta bid expected from Arsenal, and of course, Man United are just off the back of battering Liverpool in pre-season. We are back. How are you, Jess? How are you? Welcome back to Straight Facts. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Ready to talk about some of this nonsense. I think you're laying it on a little thick with everything, but there you go. Manchester United fans always taking things way too serious, getting way too gassed too early. I always talk about Arsenal fans. You guys are pretty up there with some of the takes that I've seen over the last hour. So relax.
Yeah, well, we'll talk that. Absolutely, we will. And there is an element of people going too far. Also, some people can't read and understand banter. But
KJ is going too far. I've seen his tweets. I'm like, you're really sucked in already. 1 minute it's the Glazers out. The next minute he is sucked right in.
Well, there's a difference between being happy your team's won a football match and supporting the Glazers.
He's sucked right in. Back in the vortex.
Every time I come out, they bring me back in. Yeah, exactly. It's very much The Godfather. It is. But look, there's lots to delve into and speak about on the show today. Of course, the big news, Koulibaly, very likely to be a Chelsea player. Serge Gnabry as well, amongst all the other transfer stories that are kind of circulating across the ether as well. But I thought I wanted to kind of start with Manchester United. And so Chelsea fans, stay with us, bear with us. Also, if we hit 1,000 likes on the show, I'm going to give away more free memberships. We have to hit 1,000 likes while we're live, and I'm giving away more free memberships on the Football Terrace. But obviously, United started well, beat Liverpool. Do you feel that I want to start with? Do you feel there's an overreaction from Manchester United fans on this?
Yeah, a little bit. It's just preseason. Like, there's that Liverpool. Like, I get that you guys brought your kids in and Liverpool had their real team out there. Liverpool didn't give a crap about that game. Keep it real. But what I will say is that, like, it's obvious that, like, those players that were out there for Manchester United needed to show something. Like, they can't go out in a preseason game and say it's just preseason. They either need to, like, show Ten Hag that they can hack it or not. So I'm not really surprised that Manchester United kind of came out there with a point to prove. And Liverpool were kind of still in a haze from last season. I think Klopp brought in most of his really good players that, like, with 30 minutes to go. And then, it just is what it is from there. So I would just say, like, for Manchester United fans, it's probably just nice to see players act like they give a crap, because last season was torture probably for you guys, which was fun. But yeah, I think that's just what it is, but everybody should be happy to win a preseason game. Of course, rivals are going to banter you for going too far, and you guys are going to banter because you guys beat your rivals. It is what it is. Like, the proof will always be in the pudding. Like, it'll always come out in the wash later on. You'll know whether or not it meant something or not when the season starts.
Look, I look at it from this point of view, and people, again, the binary nature of human beings at this moment in time is honestly, I've never seen anything like it. It's crazy levels this day and age. So people will go, Terry, you say preseason means nothing. The results mean nothing. I've seen teams win all their preseason games and have bad seasons. I've seen them lose a lot of games. A lot of Liverpool fans, I swear, they were stressed last preseason. And then they nearly won a quad. Do you know what I mean? They were a few moments away in 2 games from winning a goddamn quad. So preseason meant nothing. But where it is very important is fitness. It's about learning. And for Man United with a new manager, it's seeing how quickly they can fit into the new philosophy and new system and new style. So I totally get that. And the thing you pulled on that's right. What made me smile wasn't just the goals. It was the way I could see the team working hard. And yeah, they were up against some youngsters and some bang average young kind of players at Liverpool in that first half. However, like they still had to work hard. They still had to put the effort in. They still had to put the energy in. They still had to try. And it was nice to see. But, as you say, the proof's in the pudding. When it comes down to Man United winning these games, I need to see this translate into the beginning of the season, if you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, 100%. Like it can't just be now and then when the season starts, you don't see the same thing. But these are players that were under so much scrutiny last season. Rashford, Sancho, Martial in particular. Like I think those 3 players, because of the quality that they have, like nobody really expects much from Fred and McTominay. But those 3, they have a lot to prove, because those are going to be some of your biggest attacking options. So yeah, I look at that like there's nothing wrong with being excited. Like it is what it is. Like I got gassed during our preseason game. Not even gonna lie. Watch comps of it. Watch highlights of it. It is what it is. We all overdo it. But yeah, as long as they do it in the regular season, then fair enough.
No, of course. And people need to start again. Darwin Núñez missed some chances. People are like, he's going to be terrible. Slow down.
What's your take on him though? Like if you had to do like a too early prediction on him, like what do you think he's going to be like? How many goals do you think he's going to score? Like, because we're going from could be one of the best strikers like against Holland type takes to he's just going to be a Uruguayan Andy Carroll. It's very binary out there.
Yeah, of course it is. I think he's going to do really well. I think he's going to do well at Liverpool. I think he'll score. But because of the money he's come in at, Liverpool fans have got to brace themselves for what's inevitable. What's inevitable is every single time he makes a mistake, it's going to be highlighted, magnified, scrutinized. As soon as you start spending 60 plus million pounds on players, everything they do is overanalyzed. And Liverpool fans have got to learn to handle that. And it's, again, he had a terrible season last year, but you've seen Maguire at times not even do anything wrong. And oh my God, he's marking his own player. It's like, well, that wasn't the reason the goal went in. Like I remember a goal we conceded. They had a go at Maguire because Victor Lindelof got beat in the hair by a hobbit for a ball. And this is what Liverpool fans have got to prepare themselves for. But I think Darwin Núñez will be absolutely fine. We're going to go into some super chats here. People, we are going to be speaking Koulibaly. We're speaking Gnabry to Chelsea. We're speaking multiple other transfers as well. We'll go back to the Chelsea ones in a moment. We'll go to the ones that are going to be relevant to what we're talking about at the time. The difference between Man United and Arsenal fans is that United fans are trolling 99% of the time. Arsenal fans actually believe they will win the league. I have seen some that say they think they're going to win the league this year, which is crazy. Moyes pre-season was horrible. Look what happened. So Oral Campbell, I totally agree. We've had bad pre-seasons and bad seasons, but we've had good pre-seasons and bad seasons. There's been teams that have had bad pre-seasons and good seasons. I think it's more about how you're playing and what you're seeing rather than the results. I think the result people focus on too much. That element isn't important. It's the fitness, it's getting into the system, it's understanding what the manager wants. It doesn't really matter about that because sometimes you can be playing well, you make the wholesale changes and you can see 2 or 3 goals. And then suddenly it looks like a bad result, but the result doesn't matter. I think that's what I mean by people where when it comes to real football, the performance is secondary always to the result as a general rule in the game. So I think that's my point on it, Oral. I swear Núñez looks like Lukaku, but he's white. Oh yeah, definitely.
He's not.
He's not white.
He's not white.
Yeah, well, it depends now. A lot of people. It's funny actually because a lot of nationalities of people now are considered white that never used to be. Not too sure.
But the issue with Lukaku, the issue with Lukaku and Núñez is not that they're bad players; it's that they need to be used correctly. Lukaku was never used correctly for Chelsea. He was never the right signing. I have a hard time believing that Liverpool are going to expect Nunez to be Firmino, in tight spaces, that kind of stuff. Like, come on. Like, I would say, unless you're okay with your take coming back at you later on in the season, reel back on the Nunez takes. Like, Klopp has not even started to work with him yet. That guy is a freak of nature.
I agree. Eric Ten Hag already has David De Gea coming off his line and Martial pressing for a whole half. Plus, the man put Tellers at centre back and lock down 100 million man. Listen, Josh, Man United fans should be happy with what they saw. We saw great press for half an hour under Ragnick against Crystal Palace in a Premier League game. It's a case again, right? You've set a marker. Go to the next one, and keep progressing. They do say that it takes about 2 years for a team to develop the fitness capabilities to press how a Ten Hag, how a Klopp, how a Pep team wants to press. So again, all these things will be improvements over the year. But good start by Manchester United, nevertheless. Of course, the big news this afternoon, now outside of Man United winning the preseason game, Jess, is Koulibaly to Chelsea. Now, this deal has come about. It is reported that it's very close. Talks with Napoli are at an advanced stage. They say Chelsea are very confident the agreement will be reached. Personal terms are not going to be a problem. Koulibaly to Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me.
Yeah, this is much better than like some of the stuff that I was seeing before. Like Koundé, I know they're still going to get Ake, but they needed somebody to replace Rudiger. That was like a big thing, in my mind, because I'm just like, not all defenders are the same, obviously. And Rudiger was a big leader, arguably like had more influence over that team and that back line than Thiago Silva. So you needed somebody to come in and replace him. I think we spoke last week and I said that I wasn't sure that they would get De Ligt because of everything going on with Bayern and him seeming very desperate to go there. But Koulibaly is a very good option, much cheaper than what De Ligt would cost you, with vast experience. And at one point, he was considered one of the best, center backs in the world. There's a lot of people that really wanted him, but Napoli are very difficult to deal with, and he couldn't get a big move away. So he's kind of just been there for a couple of years, and now he'll make his step up to a really big club in Chelsea that have the opportunity to win everything in the game. And so he'll be able to show everybody, like, this is somebody who's won AFCON. He's no joke. Like, he's really, really good. And so I'll be interested to see what he can do in the Premier League. He's 31 years old. So again, vast experience. You definitely needed to replace Rudiger with that experience. So I think that's a very smart signing. Again, like, they'll be getting Koulibaly for what, 40 million or something like that, plus Sterling for 45 to 50 million. Like, that's two really, really good experienced players in your team for under 100 million. That is really, really good business. So I always felt like at some point Chelsea would catch up and would get into the transfer market like the rest of us and make some good deals. I know there's a lot of like, what is Todd Bowley going to be about? What is he like? What da, 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 da. But he's known to be really, really good in terms of his sports teams. He's been really good with the Dodgers, et cetera, et cetera. So I always felt like they would get going and get started. Koulibaly is a very, very good, smart option when you can't get De Ligt, who would have cost you almost 100 million. And the other options are like Koundé, who's not as good, and Ake becomes a backup option and a very good one at that. So I have nothing to say about it, like nothing really negative. Like, I mean, I hope that it doesn't translate to the Premier League and, he's dead and we're looking at him like, oh, he's not that good. But I don't think it's going to be that. I think he's going to be good.
Absolutely. And it's actually 32 million pounds. It's 40 million euros for this deal.
Amazing.
It's even cheaper. I think there's three things that stand out for me in this deal. First one, stop ignoring the lesser known journalists. When I tweeted earlier on today, I followed this journalist for a long time. I want to get his, I want to make sure I get all these tweets right. So they come from Fabrice Hawkins, who is a French-based journalist. He's got 16,000 followers. He's not even verified because he hasn't done the application to become verified. He tweeted this news out. Koulibaly very close to agreeing a deal. When I shared it, people were telling me crap source, never heard of him. Most of the replies were either to Ornstein or to Fabrizio saying, guys, can you confirm this? Stop doing that. It's embarrassing, okay? The tier one are not always first. The difference is because they're so famous, you don't remember the lesser guys that have posted the news first. You know, Ornstein wasn't the first guy to break that Man United were going to get Ericsson. He just wasn't. The same as Ornstein, as brilliant as he is, didn't break the Koulibaly news. Fabrice Hawkins did. So stop ignoring the lesser-known journalists, first of all. It's embarrassing. Sure. The next point is this. The rivals of Chelsea that have been bantering all summer, your process is dead. You're not going to sign anybody very good. What does Todd Boehly do? What is he doing? What is his process? It doesn't make any sense. It's wishy-washy. They've got Raheem Sterling over the line, one of the best attackers in the league. They're about to sign one of the best defenders in Europe for £32 million. That's 70 odd million. 70 odd million pounds. 70, 80 million for two of the best players in Europe. Ake coming in, good backup. By the way, they're moving to 4-4-2. So Ake is a backup. A little expensive for a backup, but okay, he comes in, Premier League proven, knows Chelsea Football Club. He'll do well, no shadow of a doubt. The next player they're looking at, and we're going to talk about this deal in a minute, they're looking at Gnabry. Now, imagine being bantered for missing out on Rafinha, only to go and sign Serge Gnabry that is a level above him. This is why I keep telling people the banter towards Chelsea has been so forced. It's been so fake. It's been so transparent and see-through. And now you all look so stupid. It was a legitimate.
Well, I think you need to talk to Chelsea fans because a lot of them were capitulating. They were asking what's Todd Boehly doing and all that. So when their fan base is looking at it, don't you think rivals are looking at it like, well, if they're not confident, then, you know?
I get that, but I've got my own brain. I've called out every Chelsea fan who's come on this show that's been, oh my God, what are we going to do? It's going wrong. I told them all to shush politely. Like, what are you talking about? Just because you're an Arsenal fan or a United fan and Chelsea fans aren't happy, it doesn't mean you can't use your brain and read the articles. It doesn't mean you can't listen to the informed people. The way Chelsea Football Club have been kind of spoken about this summer, it's just been embarrassing. Koulibaly, Raheem Sterling, maybe Gnabry on the horizon, and they are looking at other individuals. Don't be surprised if they make a last-minute attempt at a Frankie de Jong if and when he agrees to leave Barcelona. They could end up with some serious players. They're looking to spend big money. And Todd Boehly, you know, American owners tend not to get praise in England, but so far, so good from this guy. I think he's been he's been a breath of fresh air. He's trying to take Chelsea into the 21st century of club ownership, backing the manager, creating a philosophy, and then looking to continue it from there. And Koulibaly is a signing. Honestly, a couple of years ago, would have probably put Van Dijk above him, and you probably still would. Thiago Silva is very good. He's at a certain age. He's fallen out of fashion a little bit. So 2 years ago, it was very fashionable. 3 years ago, it was very fashionable to like Koulibaly. And now nobody hasn't really spoken about him for a few years. But I beg people to understand, he hasn't regressed in that time. He isn't suddenly this bad defender. Like, there's a distinct possibility that one of the top 3 defenders in the world is about to join Chelsea. They've just signed one of the best inside forwards in the world. They're now signed one of the best centre-backs in the world. Chelsea means serious business.
Yeah, sure. I mean, also, let's wait. You're adding Gnabry in there, and he hasn't signed.
I haven't said he's signed.
Well, you're acting like it's done.
No, I'm talking more about people panicking, not panicking. Chelsea fans panicking and rival fans acting like Chelsea were going to end up signing Theo Walcott. It's ludicrous.
Theo had over 100 goals for Arsenal. He was not as crap as you're trying to make him out to seem.
Stop. You missed it. I'm talking about signing him now.
Okay.
Like, that's how they're acting. Like they're going to end up with a 32-year-old, 33-year-old Walcott. Like they were going to end up going, oh, look, Burnley are releasing Aaron Lennon. Let's sign him. That's how people have been talking about Chelsea. It's ludicrous. We had Roy on last night, who's a Chelsea fan, who says he's got better talent ID than Thomas Tuchel, and with the budget would pick a better team. That's how mad it's got.
But I think you also like I get where you're coming from with this, but we're not used to seeing Chelsea go after players and not get them. That's new. That's definitely not something that we've been used to. Maybe they were getting rejected, and we didn't know about it. But ain't nobody seen that in years, you know? So I do think there's a level of like people looking at it and being like, oh, they weren't able to get Rafinha over the line. I know that Rafinha was like desperate to go to Barcelona, but do you actually believe that if Marina had been there, if you know, the old ownership group would be there? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I do think there's like just questions around that. Like, why are they not getting these players over the line? Like, would they have been able to get lit with the old owner? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's just a little bit of that, because that's what I was seeing Chelsea fans say. Like, they could not believe that they could not compete with Bayern and Barcelona for players. They felt like they had surpassed them. So that's more like
well. I mean, they Chelsea aren't bigger than Bayern Munich or Barcelona to start with. I think that's key. Rafinha had already agreed personal terms in March. Chelsea weren't rejected by Rafinha per se. They tried to hijack the deal, and they ended up making Barca have to pay nearly £30 million more than they originally were set out to do. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a kind of a fate, like a rejection in that regard. They knew they were in second place as an example. But their approach is certainly different. So I understand people looking at it from a different angle. You know, certain like Liverpool obviously do a lot more transfer work than they're doing. They just keep it very, very quiet. The way Todd Bowley and his group have gone about it, they're a lot louder. They're a lot louder and more brash, a bit more bold. I mean, maybe that's the yanking them, right? And they don't seem to mind the media knowing about their stories. And I've seen a lot of kind of like snippets from a few American owners in the past. Transfer talk creates traction for your social media outlets. It creates traction for the name, the brand. People are searching you. There's an element of wanting that. Now, obviously, FSG are American, and they do it in a very much more reserved way, a quiet way, an understated way. And I just don't know. Todd Bowley Group, they're just doing it in a different manner. I just think that people have overreacted in terms of writing Chelsea off, acting as if it was all doom and gloom. And one thing I think we've said all along is they're going to be different from the Roman era, but different doesn't mean backwards. And I said it on the show with the Straight Facts with Lee Gunner maybe 2.5 months ago. Although they've won a Champions League and I think 2 league titles since the new TV deal money came in, and that's significant because people caught them up financially. They've gone 5 years without competing for a league because the way they were operating under Roman was still keeping them as one of the best teams in Europe. But the Cities and the Liverpools and the like, who were just being run better, an adaptation of wealthy owners, the way they were building. They're almost, people say you can't ever build a new Fergie. You can't. I don't think you'll ever get 25 years at a club again. But what you can do is have that same ethos where you build the club in the image of an individual. The only telltale sign is going to be at those clubs is what they do when those managers leave. Will they try and start again from the beginning, or will they continue in the vein that they've built? No one knows the answer until the fact actually happens. And I just think that the Todd Bowley Group and Chelsea, I said it in a video 3 weeks ago, they are scaring me. And they may not end up with the targets they were linked to at that point, but it isn't like they're falling further down the barrel. And on Serge Gnabry, and actually we'll go to some viewers' comments actually, because I want to get their take on the players that they're looking at here. The first one here says Tuchel not going for a CDM will cost it. What is the obsession with CDMs? Like the CDM is a role where everybody just absolutely, like, if they don't matter who their club linked to, if they're not linked to a top class CDM, there is a big panic. But it says here, Chelsea fans been screaming for one for 5 years. This window is a failure without one. Disgrace. Wake up. If we can't get our first choice, but we let Ampadu go, who is a promising CDM, I'm done. This window is a disgrace if there is no CDM. Do you agree with Adrian's take here? If Chelsea don't sign a CDM, it doesn't matter about all the other signings. It's a fouled window.
I'll just change it slightly. They need to get a midfielder in. I don't think it has to be a CDM per se, but you can't look at what they have in midfield and say that they're really competing with Man City and Liverpool with the options that they have. And in regards to like his last super chat where he was saying like about the CDM, and you're like, why do people freak out if they're not linked to one? It's because the best teams in the league right now have a top CDM, and people want what the best teams have. So do you know what I mean?
I maybe that's what it is. So my counter to that is always this. Chelsea had Claude Makelele, and he was taking the proverbial in the Premier League the time he was here. Man United had lost Roy Keane. We need a new 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 Roy Keane. Michael Carrick is the antithesis of Roy Keane. He's a completely different type of player. But look what Man United then did over the next 6 years with Michael Carrick as our main central hub. And then you had, when we went to a double pivot, you had him and Paul Scholes, deep-lying players. People say football has evolved. It hasn't, because teams back then had powerful DMs, or we call them CDMs now, had powerful central midfielders, breakers up of play, conductors. These players existed before the modern day era. Football's cyclical like that. There are different ways of winning football matches, because what you'll actually find is only a finite amount of excellent CDMs who are sort of in the mold of a destroyer that can break up play and win the ball back. You'll end up with someone that's just a physical specimen as opposed to a very good technical football player. So let's see who you end up with. And I agree with you. They do need to look at a midfielder. It doesn't necessarily need to be a Rodri. It doesn't necessarily need to be an Yves Bissouma. There are more than one way to skin a cat, as it were. So intrigue. I get your point, my friend, but I don't think you necessarily need that style. Lewandowski will 100% leave. Doubt Bayern sells Gnabry. I mean, that kind of brings us on to Gnabry. I mean, this was kind of a loose link to Chelsea a few days ago. And then everyone started tweeting about it now. Fabrizio is now added to this mix. And I think Fabrizio has said, I want to get his words right here, that they've made an official inquiry about Serge Gnabry. The interest is real. Essentially, if Bayern show like a willingness to listen, then the deal could progress. He seemingly doesn't want to sign a new deal at Bayern Munich. That may change. Can you see this deal happening for Chelsea? Serge, I mean, is it Gnabry or Gnabry? I've seen some people this summer say Gnabry, and I've heard some say Gnabry. I always thought it was Gnabry.
I think it's Gnabry.
Cool. I've heard people say it in different ways. And when you're dyslexic like me and a bit stupid, I want to make sure I get it right. But yeah, how do you see this deal going?
Well, if you listen to what's happening in Germany, like very reliable people in Germany are saying that they anticipate him staying. There was also, people were asking about why Arsenal are not pushing for him. The idea was that Arsenal get the sense that he'll stay in Germany. So I do think that he'll probably end up staying. That's my thought, especially because I don't know where Bayern are going to get a good replacement for Lewandowski. And that does open up more playing time and more options for Gnabry. They can play with Mane and Sané and all those types of players, just, in that front line, whatever, so that's kind of, I think he's more likely to stay, but like, would I be like, oh my gosh, if he went to Chelsea? Probably not, because you just never really know, if the option is there and the money is right, he could end up there. But my idea is that, when I look at things on the other side of what's happening in Germany, they anticipated making kind of like a choice soon on his future. And a lot of the indications there that he will probably end up staying at Bayern and signing a new deal, or not signing a new deal and leaving on a free, so there's, you just have to see what happens. But I guess I want to ask you, like, do you actually rate Gnabry? Because when we were talking about it before, you said that you didn't think he was all that. Where do you actually rate him?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's one of those things where I felt as though there was a lot of hype about him a couple of seasons ago, as in, like, people were talking about Ballon d'Or level performances, and I just hadn't heard much about him for the last amount of time. And I got cooked for that opinion. I got absolutely cooked. Like the comments, DMs, you don't know what you talk about, watch more. So like I always do, there's a perception of me being overly arrogant and not listening, and I do. And I did a bit of research. I looked into his numbers a bit more. I looked into his performances, what's been said about him by the sort of the German press and stuff. And they're all still very impressed with him, top class player, what else? And then I just thought to myself, maybe I'm falling into that trap of, because the hype train has stopped, I'm just assuming the player isn't as good as he was a couple of years ago. I think he's a sensational talent. He's definitely better than Rafinha, as an example. I still would like to see what he does. In the Champions League, I've seen him be brilliant. I still would like to see him come to an even more competitive league than the Bundesliga, come to the Premier League, go to the Liga, where I do think it is more competitive than in Germany, to see where he really sort of sits in the world of inside forwards, especially with the plethora of talent the Premier League suddenly got, all the managers we've got, and the two teams fighting out for the title. You've got Chelsea that are that chasing pack, and you've got sort of you've got Man United that want to get back to that, and Arsenal and Spurs that feel like they're building something to move into that space. I'd like to see someone like Serge Gnabry come back to the Premier League and kind of prove everybody here wrong, even proving people like me wrong. I think he's a very good football player. Some say absolutely world-class. Well, come here and prove it. And I'm not saying you can't prove it in the Bundesliga. I'm speaking from a very selfish standpoint. I'm not going to watch that league every week, so I'm not going to know. I'm not going to. It's not competitive enough. There's it's a one-horse race every year. Boring. That's why it just is that for me. Like individual games I've watched and I enjoy them, but I can't watch the league per se. Even a lot of the ex-Bundesliga players say it, like, when they play the bottom 5, bottom 6, bottom 7, they know they're winning before they've even turned up. That doesn't happen here. So anyway, that's another part, another debate. I think he's a very talented footballer. I'd like to see him come to Chelsea. But from a Chelsea standpoint, he'd be better than the other targets they've kind of looked at so far. I think he's better than Antony is right now at Man United. That's someone they've kind of looked at. He's better than Rafinha. He's better than Richarlison. Like, they could end up with someone that's better. Now, I get your point. He might end up staying at Bayern Munich. I think it all depends, like a lot of people have said. If there's a willingness to listen, then there's obviously an opportunity for Chelsea to sweep in here and try and get this deal done. There has been talk, though, Jess, of him not joining Chelsea because he's an ex-Arsenal player and he respects you too much. Do you think there's anything in that? Do you think he'd turn Chelsea down because of his love of Arsenal?
I think there's a chance that could happen. Like, you never really know. Like, he's always kind of said that, like, if he ever went back to the Premier League, it would only be to come to Arsenal. So, yeah, I mean, I think there could be something in that. But at the same time, like, I'm not, like, deluded in that way that I feel like money doesn't talk, opportunity doesn't talk. Things can change very, very quickly. So even though I do have a sense that I feel like he'll stay at Bayern Munich, and that we may look at him next summer if he were to potentially go on a free, I still think that there's probably like a percentage chance that he could end up at Chelsea if they really push. But, yeah, obviously if people are saying that, then maybe Chelsea have looked at him before and they've been rebuffed. How would they know that? If Chelsea or Spurs or somebody like that had not come in the past and he said, I'm not going because of blankety blankety blank. So, yeah. But again, things change. And I think I don't actually have that strong of a connection to Gnabry as other Arsenal fans do. He left when he was very young. I don't necessarily feel like the way that he left would make me think that he would be so beholden to Arsenal that he wouldn't take up a really good opportunity. So again, if he ends up at Chelsea, I'm not going to be sitting there like I'm shocked. These players got to do what's best for them.
Well, exactly. I mean, Fabregas famously said something similar. I think he might have even publicly said it. And then the world changed, He probably thought, well, I'm going to go Barcelona. I'm going to have a great career there. By the time I'm finished there, like he probably thought Barca, then Monaco. Does that make sense? He probably didn't really think.
Actually, he wanted to come back to Arsenal, and Arsene never answered his phone calls.
Yeah,
so he went to Chelsea.
And then he went to Chelsea. Like the world changed and things are different. And when Chelsea if Chelsea sit there and go, there's £300,000 a week, we want you to be one of our main attackers, that in itself is a game changer, you know, and I don't buy into any of that stuff. There's a handful of players that I would kind of go, okay, you know, someone like Jack Wilshere, I don't think would ever play for Tottenham. Okay, I put that, well, he's retired now anyway, but he'd never have gone to Tottenham. He probably wouldn't have even gone to a Chelsea because born and bred Arsenal fan from a kid. It's a different, he views them as a fan as much as a professional, but most footballers, especially footballers that are not from the city or not from the town, nah, you know what I mean? Like with some of our legends at Man United would have been very happy to have walked down the road to Man City or played for another big Premier League team if the right offer would have come in. Like, it's not, if Man United would have decided to sell Wayne Rooney, he'd have joined Chelsea or Man City, no doubt. He wouldn't have joined Liverpool because he's an Everton fan, but he would have joined the others. And I think anyone that kids themselves of that is delusional. But like, I think Gnabry would be an interesting one, like, to see what happens. And again, Bayern, this is where Bayern might end up. If he says to them, I'm not going to re-sign. Is it 1 year left on his contract? Is that right? So then they might end up doing a Thiago Silva and going, well, we'll get some money for you now by moving you on. But I suppose that all depends on who they can bring in as a replacement, who's available. You know, they might prolong it for a year if they can't get the right individual. So it's going to be interesting to see what Chelsea do in that space. Prime here with a comment. Says, personally, I think Chelsea would be his desired destination due to playing in the Champions League and having a German coach like TT. I don't know what that's meant to say. These little things, I think it's meant to say, these little things come into play, even if he has got that arsehole laugh. Well, yeah, you're someone that, like, you would advocate the soft facts and the relationship element. So yeah, I mean, that most certainly could be a thing, I would assume. People are sending me to Fabrizio's Twitter. He said Fabrizio's tweeted. Says here that Thomas Tuchel is the man who wants Koulibaly, considered perfect option for Chelsea. Todd Boehly took care of negotiations with the agent in June, and then yesterday with a new meeting. So yeah, that's sort of being discussed as it stands right now. So yeah, the Koulibaly deal, people, looks like it's so I just read the funniest tweet in the world. I'm very sorry. It says here, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has rejected the chance to become the new manager of Iran. It's a real tweet. It's a real story. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that's he got offered the chance. Iran, bro. Can you imagine? Oh, I feel bad for him. Iran. Oh, wow. He's not moving to yeah. He ain't moving. He ain't going there. There we go. So that's Fab's tweet that's come out now in relation to that. But viewers, what do you think? Koulibaly to Chelsea, Gnabry to Chelsea. What do you think is going on there, my people? Now, Nabil here says, please, Terry, the best centre-back in Europe is Maguire. I dare Chelsea to buy him. Their club is not big enough. Also, did you see Darwin score today? Simply amazing. I think there's a lot of sarcasm in that comment there, Nabil. I didn't see any of those things, but thank you. I'm one of the skeptical Chelsea fans. Seems like there's a lot of stories and it feels like I can't trust nothing until I see the player holding up the shirt. By the way, love your channel. Thank you for loving the channel there, Emmanuel Frank. I appreciate that. And there is a lot of stories, but it's knowing which ones are real. Do you know what I mean? And the ones that are kind of real, that have had substance to them, I don't know, like, been pretty good. But the only one where I agree with Chelsea fans, which is a little bit meh, is probably Nathan Ake for 40-odd million pounds. That seems, especially then as City might then go and take Jules Koundé for only a couple, 10, 15 million more. It sort of feels like, well, just bring in Koundé. But maybe they just want to back up. I don't know. That's the only one that seems a little off to me. Modders here says, we will sign 3 centre-backs. Koulibaly, Ake, Koundé, and more players. Todd Boehly will make Chelsea run like Liverpool and be more attractive in the transfer market. What do you think of that one, Jay?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you just got to wait and see. I think Todd Boehly is a great owner, so I'm sure that he'll run things well, but let's not act like Liverpool haven't been very, very good in the market for years now. So, the way that they move in the market, especially not being ran by like a sheikh or anything like that, is definitely like the standard. So I understand why Chelsea fans want to use that as like the marker, but let's not act like Liverpool haven't been doing this for years. Todd Bowley just got here, and I'm sure he'll get some things right and some things wrong, and then things will smooth out as things progress. So yeah, and in regards to like they're going to sign all three of those center backs, maybe. I don't think Koundé is going to end up at Chelsea. I think he'll end up somewhere else, but I still don't even think you need to buy all three. Like, I think Koulibaly and Ake could actually be enough. Please use Colwill or whoever that guy is from your academy. Like, if I was a Chelsea fan, that's what I'd be looking at. I know it's fun to have shiny new toys, but you can't have like another Tomori or another Mark Gahey situation. Like, those players are coming out of your academy, and they would be like the Koundés and stuff if they played in Europe. So yeah, I would just say maybe just the two. But yeah, I think Chelsea will be well on their way. But, you know, Liverpool been doing it for years, so just wait it out. I mean, what do you think? Do you think Chelsea, like, is Liverpool the standard in terms of big clubs maneuvering in the market, American ownership at this point? Because we all have American owners except for City, right?
And Spurs.
And Spurs.
I think so.
Enoch, what is Enoch?
I don't know. I don't think they're American. I've never heard anyone refer to them as American.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, we all have American ownership. Is Liverpool like the standard, and that's what everybody needs to kind of be reaching for? Or is that overplayed a little bit?
I think there's an element of what Liverpool do. I think there's elements of what they do that you want to take. I think Chelsea could go to the next level, though. I still think in their heart of hearts, Liverpool would rather spend a little bit more. They all kind of celebrate, we don't break the wage structure. We don't do this, we don't do that. But that's why Man City have won the majority of the Premier Leagues in the last few years. And of course, they've done brilliantly in the Champions League, 3 finals, 1 victory. You know, that's better than Man City. But I get the feeling that if you were to sit a Liverpool fan down in a dark room where no one could see him and say, would you swap what you've won in the last 5 years with what City have won? I think Liverpool fans would swap it. And irrespective of how good their teams are. So I think Chelsea can take elements of what Liverpool do. I think buying the right player for the system, thinking about the club's system and the club's philosophy and the club's processes first. But what you could then look to do is just spend that little bit more, which is what City essentially do. So City and Liverpool don't run things overly differently from one another. City are just willing to spend more money. Then you've got a club like Man United who spend more money than Liverpool, spend similar amounts to City, but there's no plan of action. I've said before, it's not... Of course, the day-to-day intricacies of running a football club is difficult. No idiot's going to say otherwise. But the basics are very simple. You pick a philosophy of football, a style of football, you set the standards high at the football club, and then you bring in the right people in recruitment, directors of football and managers to bring that all to life and together from a recruitment point of view, how you train and coach the team, and then how people essentially conduct themselves. It's fairly basic. And as long as you get those elements right, and then on top of that, you spend big money, you'll always be successful. I've seen fans of certain football clubs in the last few months push this notion that spending money can create problems at clubs. It can create jealousy. You give someone 300 grand a week, they stop working hard. Now, that only happens at poorly run clubs like Man United. That only happened at Arsenal when you're giving the wrong players 300 grand a week. Mo Salah is not going to down tools because he's on 350 grand a week. Because it just isn't. That isn't the mantra and the nature of that football club. So, yeah, I wouldn't be worried about, like, I don't necessarily think you're going to sign all 3 of those centre-backs, my friend, but I do think you're going to be run pretty well. King Kai here says, Koulibaly is pretty much like Van Dijk. He has great pace, physicality, and reads the game well, plus a leader. Only issue is he's 31, but he's a beast. Yeah, being 31 is a bit of an issue. But
Van Dijk is 31.
Is Van Dijk 31?
Isn't he 31? I could have sworn he just turned 31. How old is he? 20, 29, 30? I thought I could have sworn I saw he just turned 31. Or maybe that was somebody else. They're all the same age.
He turned 31 4 days ago. Okay, fair enough.
Who cares? For these center backs that are at their like peak physicality, like that stuff is like especially like you look at Van Dijk. I mean, he's going to play every single game, but they brought in Kanate. Like, there's other players that can play like in matches that maybe he doesn't need to, if that's really what Klopp does. Chelsea will be in the same situation. Like, Koulibaly will rotate with other players, I think, to keep him tip top. So this whole like age thing, I think it only matters if you don't take care of your body. Only players that don't care fall off of a physical cliff at 29. You know?
Yeah, and if he, and I don't know about his injury record, but yeah, I wouldn't make that too. If Chelsea were being told right now you're signing Virgil van Dijk for £50 million, I don't think there would be any concerns or worries about his age. It's just, again, certain. I mean, injury record wise, Koulibaly, I'm looking here. He's had a few, but nothing too major. He missed 8 games last season. And 2 of them are for Corona. And it's fair, 3 of his last 5 injuries have been Corona related. So yeah, like you haven't got any major issues there. He's never had any major knee injuries. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He had 10, 11 injuries, 3 of them being Corona in his whole career. So I don't really think that there's an issue there. He's had a bit more as he's got older, which is normal, but I'm sure he'll be fine. Viewers, what do you think and feel about these deals? We want to hear from you on the show. Make sure that like button's being smashed. If we hit 1,000 likes, I will gift away some more free memberships to you live on the air. Now, I do want to speak Arsenal a little bit, because one of the deals that's kind of rearing its head again today, being debated a lot across sort of social media, is the Lucas. Okay, his name wrong again. I keep saying it wrong. Just say it, please.
Paqueta.
My brain, this is the way dyslexia does this. It keeps saying Paqueta, and I can't stop it. So Paqueta, you're expected to have to put a bid in for it. There's a bid expected. Charles Watts has kind of alluded to this. There's talk of it being £60+ million. This is kind of picking up pace again, this one. A lot of the tier ones, people are starting to talk about it and mention it. Do you see this as a legitimate Arsenal transfer? Does it feel right? Is it the right type of player you need right now? Or is it... the reason I'm asking that is I've seen some Arsenal fans kind of suggest you don't need him because of Odegaard and Fabio Vieira. What's your take on this deal?
Yeah, it's felt real to me for a while now. Like, just in people, it kind of goes back to like, you don't need Fabrizio Romano and Ornstein to tell you that things are happening. Like, the original report that came from Mediafoot was from a reliable journalist, so I don't know why people are acting like if Ornstein and Fabrizio aren't saying anything, they're probably not getting any information from Arsenal right now. I feel that's the idea that I'm getting from the two of them. After the Lisandro Martinez and Rafinha stuff, they're not getting any more information, so they're probably going to be last to know. And then Brazil has been very reliable in regards to what Arsenal are doing, because we've been linked with 3 Brazilian players and they're reliable. So especially Risa, who works for Goal Brazil. And so just because Ornstein isn't giving you a play-by-play doesn't mean it's not happening. And I would imagine that after what happened with Rafinha and Lisandro Martinez, Arsenal got a lot more, wanted to move a lot more quiet, because everybody is going after the same players, and you just, moving in silence is probably a better thing. So with Lucas, I think this idea that we don't need any more creative minded midfielders because we have Odegaard and Vieira, I think is just very short-sighted, because the best Arsenal teams had many creative players, and we never complained. We know that we're always one injury away from not having any creativity in our team. And what I like about Lucas that Tielemans doesn't have, which I still think Tielemans is a good player, but he can play across the front 3 and also play on both sides of your 6. So he can play 5 positions very well. He works really hard. He's quick. He's fun to watch as well. He's a typical Brazilian player with the flair and all of that. So I think he's definitely the type of player that we need. I get that some Arsenal fans just don't know much about him. So it's kind of like, well, why would we need him? He played mostly up top last season, but most Lyon midfielders play in every single position. That's what they do. Bruno did it. Awar does it. Like, that's just how they play. So yeah, I think it's the right move. You know, I would imagine that the one thing that I did like about the original report was that they said that they wanted to get like confirmation or some sort of buy-in from Lucas Paqueta before they put in an official bid, which I think is the most important thing, because Newcastle have been sniffing around him for a while. And the last thing that Arsenal need right now is some sort of bidding war or another team coming in. So you get him to say, yes, I want to come to Arsenal, and then you start dealing with a loss. He's very difficult to deal with, as we've known from the Awar situation. So yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. We need at least 2 more midfielders in my mind, you know, so this would be one that I think he fits in. But this idea that we just only need one creative midfielder and that's it is like ridiculous. I mean, look at, you know, even United, they have Bruno, Eriksson, they're trying to get Frankie de Jong. You need as much creativity as you can possibly get. And Paqueta is the same, you know, so I think it would be an interesting deal. Of course, he's going to cost a lot, but I don't really care about that because Arsenal clearly have the money. You know, we have the money, so just pay it. You know, I don't even know why Arsenal fans are worried about that. You know, it's going to be so much money. Like, it's not our money. Why do you care? Like,
Well,
we've already brought in the striker. We have
mm,
another creative midfielder that already came in. We know we're looking at Grimaldo, and he's going to cost what, 6 million or something like that. So it's not like getting him would inhibit us or from getting something else that we really need. We've gotten our main thing, which is a striker. The next thing that has to happen is the midfielder. Those were the priority signings. So I don't really see why that matters, but you know, I think it also is like people do that when they don't, that's not the player that they want. You know, it's like, I don't want this player, so it's so much, you know, but why do you care? It's not your money.
yeah, I've not really understood that take from certain people. It's not really made that much sense to me why there's frustration. And I get, listen, Odegaard looks like he's going to be your captain as far as I've read. So he's
Yeah.
placing your first team is pretty secure. But this is the thing with Arsenal fans: you're not at the top of the tree. So if you were top of the tree, winning leagues, winning Champions Leagues, and you had certain players that were integral in that, I can understand it to a certain degree. To a certain degree, but even then, you should want competition and people pushing one another, and that's what you've now got to create. There's European football. There's the 5 sub rule, and it's kind of weird that if a player doesn't like, if the natural viewed position of a player isn't isn't the position that certain fans feel needs to be fitted. So that if they go, well, he's a bit more advanced, we've already got an advanced midfield player, therefore we don't need one. They can't look beyond the end of their nose that there could be an adaptation in play. Maybe the way that Arteta wants to take your football this season, he needs an extra creative player in the side. And, you know, maybe he isn't completely sold on everybody that's within your team, as an example. Maybe, yeah, fans might big up certain players, but maybe the manager's like, yeah, he's good. But if we want to start winning these leagues, if we want to start winning these, getting back into the Champions League and winning them, we need to go to another level. And like, this player looks serious as well. Like, he looks like an absolute star in the making. And I know he's not young, but he looks like an absolute star. And I remember you waxing lyrical about Bruno Guimaraes and Arsenal fans really coming for you on that one as well, as if you were just chatting absolute nonsense. And then we saw him take a little bit of time to get into the first team at Newcastle. But we saw in that system, he was just fantastic. I mean, namely in the game.
He didn't have to play right away either because Newcastle were safe. Like, Eddie Howe just could ease him in because ultimately he's kind of was like a summer signing. They already had secured it. Do you know what I mean? So, like, one thing, like, I don't know much about much, but one thing I do know is Brazilian players. Like, this guy he's serious. He's a serious player. So he's not going to cost 20 million. Like, he's going to cost a lot. But who cares when you have somebody that can play 5 positions? He would instantly put pressure on Bukayo, Martinelli. He can play number 9. He's much better than what we have. And like, I think the worst part is that, like, I do get a sense that Arsenal fans have become a little bit complacent and don't realize that, like, we've been suffering for a while. Like, these players are okay, but like they're nowhere near where we should be. Like, seeing Gabriel Jesus play in that preseason game should have showed them that. Like, we need better players than what we got. And Paqueta walks straight into that team, and he's the second best player behind Jesus. Like, it's not a game. He's serious.
Well, without a shadow of a doubt, like he's a top level player, and it's kind of. But both our fan bases have done this in recent times, where if a player coming in threatens a fan favorite, doesn't matter if that player is better than the fan favorite. There's an outrage about it, which is just, I find. You know, we did it with Anthony Martial. Yeah, Zlatan's coming. Oh, but what Martial? Zlatan's better. Like, he's better, and we should have showed him a lot more love than we did. So yeah, I totally get that. I do find it a strange notion. A super chat here says, thinking other teams are stealing Arsenal transfers rather than Arsenal simply tagging their name to players to PR. Is a funny outlook on things. I have seen a bit of that. Arsenal fans think that clubs like Man United are just trying to steal their transfer targets. That is just banter, though, right? No Arsenal fans truly think that clubs are just copying you.
No, I don't think so. Like, I don't know if maybe you didn't understand what I was saying about Lisandro Martinez. I know that, like,
I'm reading out this super chat. It's not my point.
Oh, no, because Cameron was saying that that's what I was trying to say about Lisandro Martinez. I was saying that I didn't think that they were that interested. Like, you guys weren't that interested until you realized that we were serious, and then you had to go ahead and accelerate things. But he was a target, maybe just not your number one target, right? I think it's more of that than anything, is that we all kind of have the same-ish targets that we're looking at, but Arsenal jump on it quick, and then other teams have to come in and make themselves known if they want them, or else we would have gotten them first. So I think all, like, fans kind of make their own narratives and their own ideas about how things happen. But I'm not sure that many Arsenal fans actually do believe that they're just copying our homework. You know, it's more just fun and banter. Like, anybody who thinks that those things are, I think everybody takes what Arsenal fans say like really, really serious all the time. I don't really think people are sitting around thinking like they're just waiting around to see what we're going after. Like, this work goes on for months before. We all have similar targets, but equally, Chelsea, like, they knew they had to go after Rafinha quickly because we had started putting in bids. But they always had Rafinha on their list. And the reason why we know that is because Ornstein said that he would have preferred Chelsea over Arsenal anyway. So, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think it's somewhere in the middle. You know, it's not necessarily stealing, but when somebody else is working on a target that you're interested in, you start to get going because you know you can't wait.
No, exactly. Like, I got what you meant, and I think you were right. I think someone like him may not have been a player we went for this year, but then Liverpool did this in January. Spurs were about to take away one of their summer targets, and that's why I think Liverpool aren't doing as much business as they would like, because Luis Diaz would have come this summer if Spurs weren't about to sign in January. So Liverpool had to sort it in January. Like, that's why I think that happened, all intents and purposes. Raheem Sterling flying to LA. His announcement video is 100% going to be at the Dodgers Stadium. Yeah, a lot of people would agree with you on that, Seth. Sterling flying to LA now. Matt Law said hopefully the announcement will be soon. I get people want the announcements, but he's your player. I really wouldn't stress, but I know people like the announcements. I do get that. The announcements mean a lot to fans. Zane here says, question for you two. If Arsenal only sign Jesus, Turner, Marquinhos, Yuri, Vieira and miss out on Martinez and Rafinha, do you think you have enough for top four?
No, but I think that's why we're probably still going to get another midfielder, but that's definitely probably not enough. Arsenal need to sign like a top midfielder. So, you know, there's that. Actually, I do think Yuri Tielemans is a good player. Like, I still think that he would improve us, but there's definitely something now in the back of my mind that's kind of like, we're definitely looking at other targets and he's definitely on the back burner. But no, it's definitely not enough. We need at least one more midfielder. I do think one midfielder would make me confident that we're going to fight for top four, but if we brought in two, then I would say we're looking more serious. So yeah, we need more signings. Like everybody knows that. I don't even count Marquinhos and Turner. Neither of them are going to make a difference in the season. Right now, it's just Jesus and Vieira. That's not enough. We need 2 more signings.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, Arsenal do. But there's so much time left. And I said about a week ago that there's going to be some new transfers that rear their heads. Koulibaly to Chelsea is one of them. Gnabry could be another, as an example. What United do with their attacking options could be there. Arsenal now with his name's gone again. Do the name for me.
Paqueta.
My brain just won't do it today. It'll work tomorrow. Right now, I just will not remember it.
Sure.
That's not a new one, but it's kind of like 2 weeks ago, nobody was talking about it. Like, and there's going to be this stuff because the window's still the window's still quite.
People did act like it was over, like last week or the last 2 weeks. It was, it's over. It's nowhere near done.
We spoke about preseason at the beginning. For some reason, social media has built up this hype that if your business isn't done by the time preseason starts, it's almost not worth doing, which is just one of the biggest fallacies in the world. Like it's a really weird kind of view, a really kind of weird view, to be honest with you. Terry, do you think Gnabry would make the Premier League Team of the Year? He's got the ability to. We'd have to see him play. Like he's got the ability to. I don't know if he would, but he's got the ability to, no doubt. Zane here says, as a Milan fan, I see Paqueta firsthand. He was good on the ball, but didn't contribute, but has been good at Lyon. So the speculation on him by some.
Well, he was at Milan first, and he didn't do very well there. And then, like you said, went to Lyon, and a lot of people have said that they feel like the only player that was better than him was Mbappe. Like he's that good, but he was like 21 when he went to AC Milan. Players get better, so I wouldn't take like what he was doing at Milan and say that's an indication of who he is as a player. It's definitely a data point, something that you can look at and say like, okay, he wasn't that great there. But the way that he's played for Lyon, like, he's serious, y'all. Like he's not, it's not a game. And then I still think Brazil is one of the most difficult, national teams to get into, and he's broken in. So yeah, data point, but I wouldn't, when a player's 21, he's 24 now,
Bruno Fernandes wasn't very good in Italy, and he's done all right in the Prem. Do you know what I mean? So, and he actually made some good decisions today. He actually low-key impressed me. There was times I'm like, he's going to make the wrong pass, and he didn't. I was like, wow.
Well, he always impresses you, though. He's like your favorite person. You love Bruno.
I criticize people I like more than people I don't like. I'm the opposite to most football fans. Most football fans spend their time criticizing the players they think are rubbish. I don't. I criticize the ones that are better, that should do better than the rubbish players, because I just think that's the right way to be in life. But that's just me. Maybe one is wrong for doing that. Do you feel like, in terms of the Martinez deal is kind of coming to a head now? I saw Charles Watts earlier, obviously credible in the Arsenal space, really, sort of just saying that it looks like Arsenal aren't going to bid again. It's almost like they conceded Man United getting him. Do you think that's the case, or do you think there could be a sting in the tail for Manchester United regarding Martinez?
No, I think it's done. I think he chose United. It feels very much like that. And, I've been kind of consistent on saying that, like, we really needed Manchester United not to get serious about Martinez. And once they became more serious, I kind of felt like, okay, this is probably something that's not going to happen. Fair enough. And I think Arsenal look like they've already turned their attention to somebody else. So, and that was even before the whole, and I also think I don't know if you get this sense, but I think journalists and, the information that comes out to the fans is always like a little bit later than what's actually happening, because the Grimaldo rumors came out 24 hours before the whole Martinez has chosen his club, and those Argentinian journalists were talking about him choosing United. So I think that it's been long gone in my mind. We haven't put it in another bid. We both kind of we're still at 45, and then you guys went up to 50. We haven't really come back. So I would say that I would imagine that he would become a United player, which, you know, I don't see how anybody could see it differently. But also it's kind of good for Arsenal to tell, you know, the likes of Charles Watson stuff that they're still kind of in there and looking at it while they work on something else, you know, because it's done. You know, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, someone put Charles Watts' actual comment in here that says Man United have moved ahead of Arsenal in the race for Lissandro Martinez. United are the club actively pushing to find an agreement with Ajax after Arsenal called their interest. I knew it would always get reported as Arsenal called their interest because it is what it is. But that's what all clubs do. United did the same thing with Darwin Núñez. Like, we know the PR element, but yeah, I mean, news is definitely delayed, and it's delayed for good reason. Sometimes, you know, there's been times where, like, I've spoken to Dick on a Friday, and he's like, I got told something Monday, but I've been chasing up confirmation all week. And Ben's explained it live on the air that you get told something, but it depends on the kind of journalist you are. Sometimes you get told something by a club, but then you might spend the week trying to get hold of the agent of that player, trying to see if they'll verify it, maybe speaking to the other club that's involved to get their take on it before you give the opinion. Because football clubs and agents can sometimes give you very one-sided version of events to push a particular notion or a story. And that's why certain journalists break news that doesn't always come to fruition. I think that they're often used by agents and clubs to throw the cat amongst the pigeons for that public negotiating stance. But I'm a bit like you. Like, I'm pretty confident in that deal. I just feel like Ajax are just, like, some journalists have said that they rejected the 50 million euro bid. That other journalists, more in the UK, that have said they've not really responded. It's almost like they're waiting for Man United to get itchy feet and put another bid in and increase it again further. So yeah, I'm kind of intrigued to see what direction it goes in, really, as in monetary wise. But I'm pretty sure Man United pick him up and get him. And then, of course, you've got the whole De Jong stuff today, which even I'm starting to get confused now. I saw another headline this afternoon, a tweet that Managing Barca put out, and it just said, breaking, Frankie De Jong has refused to leave Barcelona. Barcelona are shocked. And I was like, and then everyone was going, I got tagged in it, sent it in DMs. You're wrong. He's decided to stay without a pay cut. And does it say that? And what, he's decided to stay, and Barca are shocked. 10 minutes of research, you read the article, and it basically said Barcelona are shocked because the player won't take a pay cut to stay. And I'm like, that's the news we already had. It was just kind of repackaged and repurposed into he's refused to leave. And that's an intriguing one to see how that's going to kind of go. Like, the reports are now that all the fee now is agreed with between Man United and Barca. It's just convincing the player fully to leave. Some think it's convincing him to join Man United. Others think it's because it's sorting out his wages, essentially, because he's owed this £70 million. And yeah, that's that one. I just need these deals done now. These Man United ones I just want done, not because I'm panicking they're not training with the new teammates yet. Just they're boring me a bit, if that makes sense, because nobody wants to hear the truth. Everybody just wants to hear their own version of events. But it'll be intriguing to see how that kind of works out and how those deals go. Everyone's having a pop here at Ben White, which is very random to put in here. Don't really get it. Sometimes the banter these guys put in, maybe they're talking to each other and I'm not really there. But likewise,
I think they're talking to each other.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Sometimes I read it and I'm like, I've no idea where that's come from. Viewers, we're 250 likes away from me giving away free memberships this afternoon on the channel. So make sure you're giving them a little bit of a smash. I'm going to mute your mic because there's a very loud airplane going over your helicopter or something right now. You've sent me something, though, I want to talk to you about. James Maddison to Arsenal. What's this?
I don't even know what that is. I just saw it pop up and I just sent it to you.
James Maddison to Arsenal.
I don't even, I'm like, what is this? Like, what is this?
I've never Go on. No, I've never heard of the source. Head of European Sport at BN Group. So, like, he's someone. Dr. Giuseppe K. Samuel Oreto, I think that's pronounced.
He sounds like a made up person, but anyways, one of the more bigger Arsenal accounts, they retweeted it. So I just sent it to you.
Yeah, no, I've seen it's been shared. I don't know who this guy is, Dr. Giuseppe. Is he a real person?
I don't even know. I have no clue.
Do you know who I haven't seen now for ages? The AFC Bell. Gone.
No, I think the Bell got a scary letter from Arsenal or something and left. Like, you know?
No, you're not.
I
You're
think you
not
got
the.
a scary letter.
You're not the mafia.
You got a scary letter and said, I'm
Hmm.
done.
What they say to him?
No,
What they say to him? What they threaten him with?
I don't know. Stop.
Stop
Stop with
what?
this madness. I don't know. I don't
What the-
know.
If he was in, do you believe that he was a real person, or do you think he was making stuff up?
Well, he got one thing right and rode off of that for a long time. So, I
I
mean,
guess
he got the party stuff right. So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't
yeah.
know.
I kind of feel. I feel like what happens is with anyone that doesn't show their face or tell you their real name, I don't believe in them because
Really.
well, because these people talk and act like they're trying to. Like no one that has a normal full-time job has the time to do that much research and have that many contexts to learn all this about football. You can't do a full-time job and that at the same time. It's impossible. It's impossible. How much
Yeah.
work do you have to put? Go on.
No, go. You go. You go.
How much work do you have to put in just to research the articles? How much time does that take up in your day?
Like all day.
Yeah. So that's researching it. Imagine how much time it takes to actually go out and source that information. How are you doing a full-time job and that? The reason I say that is because if you've got all these contacts, you would turn it into a job. You would make your money out of it. You wouldn't have time to do both.
Yeah.
And it's like all these in the. I enjoy them. I share some of their stuff because I enjoy the ride. Like some people take the transfer window far too seriously, but like it's like Hayes Grimes. I shared a few bits of her this year just to see if it happened. But like the
Is
bar,
that? But that's her real face and stuff. Like
she says. So she says.
nobody can confirm.
I've watched Catfish. It
Oh,
wouldn't take
okay.
it wouldn't take a lot to go onto someone's Instagram page, screenshot 50, 60 a couple of photos, and then put them onto a profile on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but you could just tell like some people just be guessing. Like I could actually make an in the know account and make it look very, very realistic because all they do is guess. Like it's so funny because yesterday with the whole Saliba stuff and his agent putting out that picture, all of a sudden all these in the know accounts where he's just signed it, he signed it right now, blah blah blah. It's like all they do is guess. But I do have to ask you a question because it popped up in my show yesterday. Did you actually say Lisandro Martinez is better than Gabriel? Did those words come out of your mouth?
Yes, he is.
Terry, stop.
He's
Stop.
he's better than Gabriel.
Stop. Oh my gosh. Stop.
He is.
Stop.
He is. Why is he not?
He's not better than Gabriel.
You were prepared as a football club to spend nearly £20 million more on Lisandro Martinez than you paid for Gabriel. Your club thinks he's better. And you do realize he was not meant to, he ain't coming in to be no backup left back. He was coming in to be one of your new centre backs.
So that doesn't mean he would start every game, does it?
No, I think he would, but I think he would come in. I wouldn't say day one in front of him. That's not what I said in the stream. I believe over the course of time, over a season, he would be one of your main centre backs. I think he's better than Gabriel.
He's not better than Gabriel.
And by the way, I've been saying this since before we knew which club Lisandro was going to. So this wasn't I'm doing it because him. No, it's truthful.
You don't actually.
I believe he's better than Gabriel. The only thing Gabriel's better than is taller. That's it. But better playing the ball out from the back, more versatile. He's definitely better on the ball. We know he can play left back, he can play central midfield, and he can play as a centre back. Gabriel can do that. He's a better football player. Now we're going to see if this translates into the Premier League, of course. But he's better. He is. Aerially, statistically in the air, he's actually better as well. I think aerially, Gabriel will be better in the Premier League. He is taller. But in terms of positional elements, the defending elements of the game, I think it's pretty close between the two of them. But when it comes to playing out from the back, which is an integral part of the way both our clubs want to play football, Lisandro Martinez is better.
He's more of a midfielder than anything. He's not a better defender. It's kind of like Ben White is a better footballer than Romero, but Romero is a better defender. He's a better center back.
So which one would you prefer to have?
It's the same.
It's not the same.
To me, it is the same. You can be a better footballer because you're better on the ball, but that doesn't mean you're a better defender. Gabriel's a really good one-on-one defender. There's a reason why I mean,
But I didn't say better.
listen,
I didn't say better defender. You're making it very specific. I just said that Lisandro Martinez is better than Gabriel. So
okay.
you agree with me then?
But I mean, but you can't just pick and choose, you know, when we're talking about.
I'm not picking and choosing. You need to ask me specific questions. So you agree with me
So
that
who's the better defender?
who's a better defender? I think it's about
Who's a
equal.
better center back?
Better centre back based on all the attributes you need to be a centre back in 2022. Lisandro Martinez. Like I've
Ooh,
said,
okay.
Gabriel is a very good defender. Like, so I'm not slagging Gabriel off here. Very good defender, good positioning, excellent in his one-on-one duels. I think Lisandro Martinez is also very good in those areas. It's marginal between the two of them. But when it comes to playing out from the back, comfortability on the ball, versatility in play, Lisandro Martinez is better than him at that. So therefore, when you add up all their attributes, Lisandro Martinez is a better football player and a better centre-back overall than Gabriel.
Then why is nobody went out and got him or tried to get him? Lisandro Martinez has been at Ajax for what, a couple years? Nobody else has went to get him but you guys and us.
But yeah, but
That's
you
it.
want him. So because
Yeah,
because
I know, but
okay,
we're not looking for like, okay, I get what, okay, go ahead. You go.
No, I want to ask a question. So because he's 24 and no one's bought him yet, that means he can't be better than Gabriel.
No, what I'm saying is that nobody was really checking for him though. Like, I do think Gabriel is the type of center back that most teams look for. He's a physical specimen, 6'4". You can play a high line with him. He's not getting beat off like with the faster forwards. He scores goals. He's actually better on the ball for Arsenal statistically than Ben White. Gabriel is underrated with what he can do through the back. Is he a midfielder? No, but that's essentially what Lisandro Martinez is, right? He's basically a CDM that plays in the back line. And so if you want to play possession, he's really good. But I don't know. I think Lisandro Martinez is a very good player, a very interesting profile and stuff like that. But like Gabriel is a better player I would say he's a better center back. I think if people were looking at it and they had to choose between the two of them and say, what kind of defender would I like in my back line? I think most people would choose Gabriel. I don't think a lot of people would choose Lisandro Martinez.
And I think that's a fair point. A lot of people don't know much about Lisandro Martinez. And I think by the end of the season, it'd be very different. However, back to what I originally said is I think Lisandro Martinez is a better football player. I didn't say specifically centre-back. I said better football player. And we don't need someone like Gabriel. And that's not a dig at him. And I know I see a lot of Arsenal fans frustrated in the comments. I've not said Gabriel's bad in any way, shape, or form. There's a reason.
I mean, you did need Gabriel because you guys went after him the same season that we went after him. You did need him. You just didn't get him.
No, we didn't make any serious inquiries into him at all.
Come on, Terry. So you're doing that. You're doing that. Okay.
So there's the loose links. And were we in a situation like Man United and Arsenal we're in now for Martinez? Was it like that? Was there bids?
You guys were in for him.
There was an inquiry made, there's no doubt. And by the time we inquired, he'd already chosen Arsenal. But okay, cool. And I'm not, but again, you're going off purpose now. I haven't said Gabriel's bad. Have I said Gabriel's bad?
I didn't say you did, but I was shocked. No.
So let's go back because you're like taking it down a path that doesn't need to go down. Have I said Gabriel is a bad defender or a bad player or not good?
I didn't say you did. I just said that Lisandro Martinez was better, and I just wanted to talk to you about it.
Oh, cool. But can you answer my questions fully? Have I said he's a bad player? I need yes or no's on this. Cool.
No.
Have I said he's a better centre back?
I think you kind of tried to.
No, see, don't try and twist my words, Jay. I said better footballer. And you agreed with me. So I don't know what we're arguing about. You agreed with me. Did you not?
You know what you were trying to do.
No, I didn't.
I think it's all kind of like the same. It's not. Like Gabriel, I think is a better center back.
No. I'm talking overall. I think he's a better football player. He's more what Manchester United need. And I think Gabriel is sensational. It's why Juve are trying to buy him, or they're looking into trying to buy him. He's a brilliant footballer. There's no doubt about it. I just think Lisandro Martinez is better. And I believe if you bought him, if you win the race for this, I believe inside 6 months at your club, Lisandro starts over Gabriel. That's what I was talking about. I think he'd prove to you all that's it. It wasn't a dig at Gabriel. I don't know. I don't know why there should not be offense. And I'm saying that like you're looking at buying an even better player than the brilliant one you've already got. But anyway, there we go. There we go. But as ever, you know, another gooner on my show, twisting my words. Gabriel is Martinelli. That Romero is clear, is what Jaden says. Edison is a better centre back than Gabriel as well. I didn't say that. I didn't say that Lissandro was better than him just because he's better on the ball. That's not what I said, but okay. We all know.
I just asked because it popped up in my show. That's all.
Yeah, but you're kind of acting like what I'm saying is nonsense. You're not really challenging.
I wanted to get clarity on what you meant because I couldn't believe that you would think that he was a better center back than Gabriel.
So based on my clarity, do you agree or disagree with me? That he's a better footballer than Gabriel. So you agree with me? I'm so confused. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I do, but you kind of know what you were trying to do. No, like, I think you know.
No. I was talking to the viewers and they were asking me questions and I explained it like that. You've asked me a question. I gave you my answer. You've agreed with my answer, but you're kind of annoyed that you agree with my answer. It's weird.
No, I'm not. I'm really not. I just wanted to make sure we got clarity on it because you know that Gabriel is a better center back than Lisandro Martinez. Lisandro Martinez is an interesting and very good ball player. He's more of a midfielder than anything. That's what makes him special.
He's not,
but as a center,
he is a center back.
He is, but the whole you would if Lisandro Martinez cannot play the way that he does with his feet, you would not want him in your back line. He would not be your number one center back. It's what he can do on the ball, which is more like a midfielder than anything, is the reason why you want him.
But he can though. What makes Aaron Ramsdale that great goalie for you last year was not just his shot stopping. He was much better than Leno with his feet as well.
If he could not play like that with the ball, he wouldn't be much better than Leno. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that's what makes Lisandro Martinez special, though.
But he can though. But this is the thing. I understand your point. But if we're going to start taking, if Lionel Messi couldn't dribble and didn't have the touch that he had, he wouldn't be Lionel Messi. We can't take someone's.
I know. I'm saying it's unique to that position. It's just not something that you're used to seeing. But if you took that away, Lisandro Martinez is basically Lucas Torreira. You know,
that is a nonsense. That is a salty. See, viewers, Lucas Torreira now. It's gone from Arsenal nearly spending £50 million on him. 50 million Arsenal are willing to go up to.
If he couldn't pass the way that he does, he's Lucas Torreira.
You heard the logic of this, people. We're going to take away a player's best attributes, and then you've got to take away their best attributes and then assess them, which is crazy. And by the way, for viewers to know, over 200 career appearances that Lisandro Martinez has played, only 22 of them have been in midfield. This nonsense he's a midfielder. Only 12 have been at left back. So this nonsense he's a left back, this nonsense that he's a midfielder is crazy. He is an out and out.
He was a midfielder. I said that's how he plays.
He's more of a midfielder than he is a centre back.
Okay, Basuma. Let me put it in perspective for you. Basuma most statistically lines up next to center backs. The players that he's most like is center backs. I'm pretty sure the players that Lisandro Martinez is probably most like are midfielders because that's what he's good at. I'm going to leave it there. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like people were like, Terry said, and I was like, I just need to know. So now we have clarity. You think that he's...
no, we haven't got clarity. I need to ask you. I need to ask you another football question now. So when you compare Basuma next season to other players, you're going to compare Basuma against centre backs, or you're going to compare him against midfield players?
No, you're taking it out of context. All I'm saying is that statistically, he's more like a center back than anything else. But of course, he's a midfielder. That's where he plays. You've taken this all out of context. All I said with Lisandro was that the reason why you really like him is because he can do what midfielders can do, but from the back line. That's what I was saying. But I'm not going to say like, okay, I'm going to put him up against Rodri. Like, no, that's not what I've said.
Cool. I mean, people said I'm trolling. I'm really not. I'm simply stating that he's a centre back that can play ball. When I put up all these attributes, the 7 or 8 games I've seen him playing, the research I've done on Wisecout, and I look at him, I think that overall makes him a better centre-back than Gabriel. And I was talking about it from an Arsenal context when people asked me where I think he's going to fit in at Arsenal. I said, I think he'll become one of their main centre-backs. So it was Arsenal specific. I don't get the issue here. It's, yeah.
I just wanted to know.
You agreed with me. So we're both on the same page. So it all makes a lot.
Well, you agreed with me that you know that Gabriel is a better centre-back.
He's better at certain elements of defending.
Okay. Let's move forward. I just needed to know. Agreed to disagree. Oh, yeah.
There's no need to be triggered.
I'm
Terry,
not triggered. I can't believe you said it.
You can't, but you agreed with what I said. Why can't you believe it?
No, because I know what you're trying. Because you don't actually want to say that you think that Gabriel is a better center back. You actually haven't said that. He's better at certain elements of defending. Fair enough.
But you wanted to go into specifics. For me, it's Lisandro Martinez is a centre back, and so is Gabriel. So when I compare them and say one's better than the other, I'm just talking in totality. Because in reality, that's what it comes down to. Because football, as defenders in teams like ours, you don't just defend. You defend, you play out from the back, you attack. It's about your overall contribution to the team. Lisandro Martinez is better. That's it. And you agreed. I have seen him play, by the way. Yes, I do. Marcelo is a way better footballer than Cole, but not left back. I mean, he's not better at defending than Ashley Cole, no doubt about it.
But see, this is the thing. This is exactly what the point is. There are some players that are better footballers, but the specific position, like, it matters, like it does.
Would you
because you can't just take it away? Like,
of course you can't, but you also can't take away the other attributes as well. And it depends upon, again, in terms of picking. But I'm not taking anything away from anyone. I've not said anything. You're the one that tried to take away attributes of Lisandro. I haven't. Let me ask you this question: like, we all know Trent's got some deficiencies with his defending, but would you swap Tomiyasu for Trent Alexander-Arnold?
No, of course not.
You wouldn't. You would keep Tomiyasu over Trent Alexander-Arnold as your right back.
No. I thought I got your question mixed up. Of course, I would take Trent over Tommy.
But the point is, defensively, I would say Tomiyasu is better than him. But the overall element that comes with Trent Alexander-Arnold and everything he brings to you, because of his tremendous ball playing ability, you can take on the chin some of the defensive mistakes because he's going to give you so much more. I believe that
Trent is a world-class player. This is a loaded question.
No,
you can't give me.
No, hang on. No, it's not.
It is loaded. Let me give her an example that's going to lead her right into a cul-de-sac.
What you're doing, Jess, is you've realized, he got me. So now you're trying to put
it.
In a minute, guys. In a minute, we're going to hear the word gaslit. In a minute, that word's coming out in a moment as well. All these buzzwords.
Because nobody in their right mind is
poor man's coming out.
Nope, you gotta use something else. Like, you gotta use something else. Like, you can't use Trent. Trent is a world-class player. Ain't nobody going to say that they'd rather have Tomiyasu over Trent Alexander-Arnold. Anybody would take him in his team. We all know what his deficiencies are, and we know that Liverpool can carry those deficiencies. So fair enough. But I don't think there's a huge gap between Tomiyasu and Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think there's more of a discussion around Lisandro Martinez versus Gabriel. Neither of them are world-class. Both of them have extremely different attributes and stuff like that. But if you ask somebody, would you rather have Trent or would you rather have the guy that's in your team? That's not even really a question. That's just leading me into a cul-de-sac.
So I understand your point, but I'm making that example because something you said a moment ago, you were trying to take away, because you would agree with me, that's on the ball, playing out from the back, that Lisandro Martinez is superior to Gabriel. Yes?
Yeah, he's better.
So he's superior to him. But you're trying to take away that massive superiority that he has in a certain attribute. And we can't really count that as being important in the overall conversation between who's better, Lisandro Martinez or Gabriel. And I just gave you an example. I think Tomiyasu, defensively compared to Trent, is superior to him. But you can't take away all of Trent's good attributes because of an area that your player is superior. You look at the overall totality of a football player. And that's
Lisandro Martinez is not Trent.
So what's the point?
He ain't nowhere near it. Like, but you're acting like he's so superior. Gabriel is underrated on the ball as well. Like, it's not like he can't kick a ball.
Both in their peaks. Both are strikers. One outscored the other by a supreme way. Who would you pick to play in your Arsenal team? Lukaku or Firmino?
What's the question?
Firmino is not as good a goal scorer as Lukaku, right? Doesn't score goals like Lukaku. But the overall footballing ability of Firmino makes him, for most people, both in their pomp, a better choice at number 9. He doesn't score as many goals, which is the main attribute of a striker. The point I'm making is that there are examples, if you go through them, where you don't need to be the best defender in the world to be a better centre-back than somebody else if your overall totality of skill is superior. That's all I've said. And the reason I'm bringing these examples up is because I didn't say he was a better defender on the one-on-one duels, better in the air. I said overall, I think he's a better footballer. I'm just confused how you could try and take away someone's attributes from them. It's weird.
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to take his attributes away from him. I was just making a point. Like, I think Lisandro's great, but I do think Gabriel, like, if I have to choose between the two of them to play center back, because remember, my main point about Lisandro Martinez was he could play center back, but I mostly thought that Arsenal would play him as a left back. Because I don't want Lisandro Martinez next to Ben White. I think they would get dunked on. They're too small. It's just not it. So, of course, I'm choosing Gabriel. But, fair enough. Like, I think it's a good argument to have. I think you cheated the argument a little bit. You tried to get me. But you tried to get me, but it's fine. Like, I hear what you're saying. We will get to find out. We will get to find out. We need to come back to this midway through the season, because also Gabriel's not leaving. I know you saw that from DiMarcio. We're not up to sell him. So
listen,
my guy will be starting for us next season.
Arsenal fans are so triggered by that news. And they were like, it's nonsense. But it isn't nonsense.
Because it was nonsense. DiMarcio already said we're not going to sell him. It's nonsense.
Whoa, slow down. Slow your roll. And
why do I have to slow down?
Because you don't listen, and then you talk and say things that would give you
I do listen. I'm here.
Right now, no, you're not listening because you didn't let me finish. So the news didn't say. Is there a difference? Let me give you two statements. I want you to see if there's a difference in them. I want to buy your car off of you, and you want to sell your car to someone. Are they different statements?
Yeah.
Juve want to buy Gabriel. I did not put out a tweet saying Arsenal are willing to sell Gabriel or Gabriel wants to leave. Juve being interested is a very different kettle of fish to Arsenal being willing to sell him. So it isn't nonsense. Juve want him. That's not fake. That's all it was. Like, do you understand? Do you see the distinction?
Yeah, I see the distinction.
So I'm right, yeah. People go mental over this stuff.
But okay.
How is that? Of course, there's a difference between those two statements. It's crazy. Question for the lady who walks. Question for the lady who walks into Liverpool starting lineup: Gabriel, Varane, or Martinez as centre back?
Oh, none of them. None of them.
If there's a slot open, if there's a slot open, let's change the question slightly.
Like who would be better suited?
Yeah.
Like, I would have to say Gabriel, because he's the only one that's similar to any of the center backs that they have. Clearly, they like fast, strong, tall, center backs where they can play on the halfway line. Varane is crocked and Martinez is small. So I would say Gabriel is probably the closest. But my original point does stand that I don't think any of those three defenders would get in over Konate or Matip. So yeah. But
you think Gabriel's better than Varane? Is that what you're saying?
Varane is crocked and he has a lot to show. He did absolutely nothing last season. I know you're not about to defend that man. He was so exposed. Like, we know that it was Ramos.
Okay, cool. You said that. I like an opinion. I want an opinion. You think right now Gabriel is better than Rafael Varane?
From what he's shown in the Premier League, yeah.
So yes,
yeah.
just
that man is finished.
Wow.
He's finished.
There we have it, people.
Sorry. I'm like, he left Real Madrid and went to you guys and did not make you any better. Like, let's not sit here and act like I'm saying something crazy. This man came over. He's crocked. Like, that's it.
Cool. So you think it's like him being crocked and not the problems United went through last year? I'm asking like a genuine question. I'm not trying to catch you up. I'm trying to ascertain. So it's because he's cropped.
I think Sancho suffered from United's problems. I think Varane got found out.
So you think Varane will be as poor this year?
I don't think he'll make much of a difference. I think there's a reason why Manchester United were trying to get Timber. You know, I think they want to make sure that they have somebody back there that they can trust. You know, I don't think like if at the end of the season we spoke more about Varane's injuries next summer than anything else, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think, you know, he
Yeah.
really made a good account of himself.
Just get it off your
That's
chest
it.
and say it. Stop holding back. Get off the fence and say it.
I didn't. I
Jess,
said I think Gabriel's better than Varane.
cool. Jess, why are you always so offended about Arsenal?
I mean, I thought we had a nice, healthy debate. I stood my ground and da 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 da. I'm laughing. I'm chill. Like
Again,
I feel like
Jay, let me stop you for a second. I need to stop you because Ryan is being sarcastic. Like I'm telling you, it's sarcasm.
it does. Are you sure?
I'm telling you, yeah. I'm telling you, he is not serious.
Okay.
100%.
Okay, because nobody could think that that's serious. Because I'm not sitting here like, you know.
Now he's kind of bantering you in the same notion. Yeah, trust me, he doesn't mean it seriously. I like this one. Terry twisting words like a Tory MP. I'm not twisting words. I'm just winning the debate. Like there's no harm in this. Jess agreed.
You didn't win.
Did you?
No. You like to lead people into you're leading questions and lead them into a cul-de-sac so you could be like, I'm right. When we all know that, like, come on.
No,
like,
so listen, Jay. It started off with you saying, did you say that Gabriel that Martinez is better than Gabriel? And I said no. I said overall as a footballer. And you said I want to get specific about this and ask you about him being a centre back or not. You were the one that was taking it down a narrow angle. I was just saying in totality, I think he's better. I never changed my statement, and you agreed with me. Therefore, I win. Kyrgios, the best goalkeeper right now. Ederson can pass better. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that's because the thing is, though, with goalkeepers, unless your passing is really bad, you don't need to have the passing range of an Ederson. If you
let me just the way I think about this is like Courtois is a better goalkeeper. Like if you're ranking goalkeepers, he'll probably come out on top. But Ederson is perfect for what Man City want to do. So like with Ben White, I think Ben White is perfect for what we want to do. But do I think he's a better center back than Gabriel? No. Do I think he's a better center back than Romero? No. But would I trade him out for Romero? No, because he fits what we want to do. So that's what it comes down to with Ederson. I'm sure Pep is not going to take Courtois over Ederson because Ederson does what they need. And I think people miss that all the time, is that you're not always going to want somebody else's players because they're better. It's what fits for your system. You know, Courtois is up there because, I mean, he is a world-class goalkeeper, but Ederson does exactly what Pep wants. And so that it probably doesn't matter to a Man City fan. They're not going to sit there and argue you down. They shouldn't. They don't care. Ederson does what they want. He plays like a midfielder back there.
There we go. But this comment here says Barcelona have asked Koulibaly to wait for them, but Chelsea are pushing to sign him now. That's from Damasio, very credible source there. That's actually funny.
Barcelona, like they need to stop. Like, but they're hoarding the transfer window. Basically, everybody is kind of hooked to what they're trying to do, but they can't pay. You know, they can't pay. They don't have the cash.
I love this comment. Sometimes Terry is delusional, not always, but when he is, he is. I don't see what I've said that's delusional. I just think that Lisandro Martinez is a better football player than Gabriel. What's delusional about it? Because Jess is arguing against me, but she agreed he's better. It's kind of weird. But I agree with what you said about the goalkeepers. And in fairness, we said this earlier on in the summer when we were talking about Paul. Depends on the position, the package, the club, the manager. There's so many factors. It isn't just which club would you rather play for, because there's so many multiple factors to it, as you've said about the keepers. But I think Courtois is better than Ederson overall. But that's because he's, again, and this is when it comes down to having these debates between players, it's kind of like, unless the only Lionel Messi is superior to nearly every other single attacker that's ever lived because he's just superior in nearly every area: the dribbling, the crossing, the passing, the finishing, the heading, the free kicks. Actually, the penalties are a little bit weak, but like everything else, he's brilliant. And he has all these. Most other great attackers that have 2 or 3 of those things are maybe near a Messi level or similar. He just has all of them, and most players don't. Like most players will have an element or 2 of their game that's flawed, that has problems with it, and the very best are just equilateral across the back there. But there we go. Chelsea make Koulibaly move, and the club still in talks with Man City over Ake fee. Tuchel is interested in Kimpembe. Tuchel ideally wants 3 new defenders. Yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see what happens there. Terry, you are delusional. You're saying that Sancho is better, but you haven't seen him play. I have seen him play. But there we go. Ben White is overrated, in my opinion, is what TBG has got to say. Tuchel is still pushing for Kimpembe. Oh, he can't do that. He's managed him before. I've been told this summer that if you try and buy players you've managed before or worked with before, you've got bad talent ID. That's the story. That's the story of it. A lot of City fans aren't happy with Ederson right now. He doesn't make saves. That is true. Yeah. There have been times some of the goals. I remember even United scoring against him in that couple of years where Ollie was getting some good results against them. Some of the keeping of Ederson was poor, like really, really poor on the day. But obviously works for their system.
Yeah, I mean that's all that really matters to me. Like,
Yeah. No, I get that. But some viewers, we haven't hit 1,000. People keep saying give the members. You got to hit 1,000 likes to do the membership thing. Like hit the 1,000 likes.
Where is it? How many is it?
How many? 40 more needed. 40 more needed. 40 more.
Hurry, you guys! My headphones are dying. So,
it's actually Roy that's pushing for Kimpembe. Yeah, I've heard that's true. That's true. Yeah, we had when Roy said that on the show last night. It's actually one of my most favorite moments ever on the Top 6 show. When somebody actually admitted what 90% of fans think. I actually do know better than my manager. Like no one ever actually has the gall to say it, but he did. Brilliant. And most of us think it at some point. Well, whenever you say the manager made the wrong, my manager, like, maybe not overall, but if you say the manager's made the wrong decision, you're saying in that particular moment you know more. Otherwise, you wouldn't disagree. I had the weirdest comment said to me the other day, and I'm sure someone's going to say it after this as well. I want to know if you think this is a weird thing to say to someone. Actually, I'll ask you the question this way around. Do you think your opinions are always right?
Mm-mm.
Then why'd you give them?
Because everything, like, opinion is like subjective as well. Like sometimes there is no right.
Let me rephrase it then. So when you give an opinion on how good or bad a footballer is, do you believe your opinion is right when you say it?
Yeah.
Because it's your opinion. Like, one trick question. Everybody's opinion in their mind is right. Otherwise, you wouldn't give it, would you? Would you ever give an opinion you don't agree with?
Only if it's fueled by agenda.
Okay. But that's my point. Someone said to me, yeah, you always think your opinion's right. And I'm sort of like, yeah, of course. That's why it's my opinion. All right, we've hit the number. I just wanted to get your take on that. We're going to gift out the memberships now, people. They're coming to you in just a few seconds' time. They're on their way, and I'll read out the names of the people that have been lucky enough to be picked. But it's all done by the system. It's all done randomly. So let's see who the 5 lucky winners on the show are. Right, here we go. Takes a little bit of time, so you'll see it pop up on the screen now. It's gone out. Who are they going to be? So, VK has been picked. Kevin's been picked. Matt Pullin's been picked. I don't know how to read that name. Something Matthew has been picked. Is that all 5? 1 and AD 416. All 5 of you have now been picked as squad members of the series. So congratulations to each and every single one of you. Matt's there commenting straight away. I like it when the new members actually comment. It's only good. So there we go. Terry is my namesake. Oh, nice. Thank you, my guy. But there we go. Listen, everyone that has tuned in, a massive thank you to all of you. Jess, an absolute pleasure as always. Until next time, my people, take care. Goodbye. God bless.